G'day, you're listening to the Virtual Staff Room, and this is episode 34, Short Notice. G'day again. Nice of you to join us. My name is Chris Betcher, and this is the Virtual Staff Room. Today's episode, again, is something a little bit different. I haven't recorded an episode for a while, some of you may have noticed, and I just thought today it would be nice to do one. So I jumped on Twitter and just simply said, who's up for recording a podcast? And a bunch of people replied, and so here we are. So here's a more or less random assortment of teachers and educators that happened to respond to my request on Twitter today and jumped on, which is kind of cool. Actually much closer to the original intent of this podcast, which was simply to get educators gathered around a virtual table and chat about whatever was on their mind. And so that's what we did today. We covered areas like copyright and a whole bunch of talking about iPods and iPod touches and what potential they might have for education, and a whole bunch of other stuff aside. So it was an interesting chat, and I'm really glad that these guys could join me today. I will let them introduce themselves momentarily once the actual recording starts, but thanks again for joining us. It really is kind of fun to make these things, and when it goes for too long without doing one, I really kind of feel the withdrawal symptoms and would like to just make another one. So it was a neat way to do it today. Just call a random crowd together and just chat about whatever's on our minds. So here we go. Without further ado, thank you for joining us. Here is the podcast. Welcome to the Virtual Staff Room podcast. And in the room today, I have a special guest, Susie Vesper. Hello, Susie.
Hello.
From Wellington, New Zealand. Linda Pilkington from the Sunshine Coast in Australia. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
And Rob Newbury from... Rob, you're in Thailand at the moment, aren't you?
No, I'm in Singapore now.
Oh, you're in Singapore. Okay, cool. You move around. Nice.
Yes.
And, and David Wees from Vancouver. Hi, David.
Hi.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. This takes me back because the original concept of this podcast was, although it's developed into a kind of a theme where, we might talk about, phones one time and interactive whiteboards another time and whatever, the original concept of this was actually just to get a bunch of people in a room together and just pretty much share ideas and talk about whatever was on your minds. Pretty much the same concept of being in the staff room at lunchtime and just having a conversation about whatever. So it's really nice to get back to that original theme, that original idea. Just real quickly, I'll just get people to introduce themselves. So I'll just start at the top of my little list here. So Susie, tell us who you are, what you do.
Okay, I'm Susie Vesper. I work as an ICT national facilitator for the contracts that we have here, where the schools can get development funding to upskill their teachers. So I work as a national advisor or facilitator for that project a couple of days a week because I've got a 9-month-old. So plus I do some time in the school. I've gone back to working a day a week in a school to keep a hand in, which I'm enjoying, and do some other various online bits and pieces. But, I have a couple of wikis that people might have heard of or visited because I tend to put some stuff out there for people to use. So that's sort of my interest in this area.
Yep, Susie's big on sharing. And I got to meet the lovely Susie when I was in New Zealand not so long ago and got to spend the day with her and little Zoe, which was nice. Linda, tell us about yourself.
Let's see. This year I moved to a brand new school at a place called Phrygian Springs, and I'm teaching a 1-2 multi-age. So since I graduated from uni, I have taught Year 7, so this has been quite a challenge. And I'm involved at the moment in ICT's an early phase project with the lovely Christine Kapelke from the Learning Innovation Centre here on the Sunshine Coast. Mm-hmm. And she's given me thousands of dollars worth of lovely toys to use in my classroom, and that's been a lot of fun because ICTs are my passion. So and the little ones just love it. We've got little Bebots and we've got iPods and Easy Speak mics and all sorts of software that I have to get my head around, and learn about. So that's really exciting. I'm about to start my master's, and so probably today that's why I noticed the message, because I'm sitting here procrastinating about finishing off the application and getting some planning done.
That's so, right. I'm sure you're in good company. Rob.
My name is Rob Newberry. I'm the Director of Information Technology at Chatsworth International School in Singapore. It's a new position that they just created this year, and I was really lucky to get the position. I was a technology specialist in Thailand for 2 years at Ramudi, where I met David Weiss, who's been a huge mentor to me, so it's a real pleasure to have him here today. And so this school, this year, the school has made a major commitment to technology. They've bought 60 MacBooks, so we're rolling out one-to-one in year 6. And so starting a whole new approach to using technology with PYP and the units of inquiry. So I'm sitting at my desk, kind of procrastinating, but kind of working. I'm looking at teacher laptop agreements and acceptable use policies, and trying to come up with a good job description for an IT manager. So that's where I am today.
Nice. Excellent. And let's flip across the Pacific to David Weiss.
So I'm working, my background is kind of varied here. I've worked in New York City, London, Bangkok, and now back to Vancouver, Canada. And this is my 8th year of teaching. And I'm currently moving into a new role, which is learning specialist in technology, which is a professional development role. And that's quite exciting for me. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with you guys.
Excellent. Well done. And I've just noticed that Britt Gow, who replied to me on Twitter and said she'd love to be part of this, has just come online. So just bear with me while I just bring Britt in. Hello. Oh. Hello, Britt.
Yes. Hi, Chris. How you going?
Good. Welcome to the party.
Thank you.
As you can see, there's a bunch of other people here, and we've all done our introductions, but you came in a little late, so I'll just get you to introduce yourself.
Sorry about that. I'm calling from Australia, and middle of lunchtime here. I'm on school holidays. I'm a science and math teacher at Hawkesdale P12 College. I think some of you might know Anne Merchant, who does a lot of ICT work around the place.
Yeah, of course. Everyone knows Anne.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Anne, yeah. And I think Jess McCulloch used to teach at that school as well.
That's right, yeah. I met Jess yesterday. She's busy with a baby at the moment.
Good. So now, Hawkesdale is a country school, so you're a fairly small school, quite a long way from anywhere.
That's right. We're a school of about 240, 50 students this year, from prep right through to year 12. And it's about, good 45 minutes to the nearest regional centre.
Right. Cool. Well, it's certainly a diverse range of experiences. Britt, I'm just getting a shade of echo from you. Have you got headphones on at all?
I haven't, but I can find some.
If you could maybe just get a set of iPod earphones or something and just plug them in and just isolate the sound from the mic, that would, I think, make a big difference.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, no worries. Right, well, while Britt's doing that, open topic. Who's got the first one?
Well, I'm sitting here playing on just because this is very topical for me, I'm playing on a wiki that we're setting up as a module for people to understand copyright and online copyright for schools.
Yep.
And I don't know if this is an area of interest for everyone else, but I'm just trying to get my head around the copyright law, which is probably different, I know, in every country. But
you'd need a big head for that.
Yeah, you do. You do. I'm always telling people that they can't use Google image searches, obviously, wholesale, and then just use the images because they're breaking copyright if they do. But is it fair use if they're using less than 3% of a website and they take the image and just use it in their classroom? Sorry, these are kind of questions I'm grappling with right now.
Yeah, I just did a copyright course. Have you heard of the Peer-to-Peer University?
No, but
you mean the Open University?
No, it's actually called Peer-to-Peer University. p2pu.org, I believe, is the URL. And I just did a course through there on copyright, a 6-week copyright course with Delia Brown. And Delia is the guru here in Australia. She works for the not the Copyright Council, but the one of the big copyright bodies that manage all the stuff for schools. She's actually behind the smartcopying.com.au website.
Okay.
So she's like the guru, and she offered to run this course as a peer-to-peer course. So every week she'd propose a new set of questions, and then in our groups we'd go away and discuss and debate and try and come up with a response to the scenarios she was proposing. It was a really, really interesting course.
Brilliant. Sounds fantastic.
It was a good way to do it. But all it did was really confirm to me that this is just one big grey area.
Yeah, it's confused you more.
Well, they're changing the law in Canada. Actually, they're trying to make it be more like, I guess, the U.S. style copyright, and
Now,
but
Canada
they're trying
just
to
had a couple of major revisions to their copyright law, didn't they? About 2
Well,
weeks ago.
they're still in the revising stage. It hasn't hit the floor officially yet,
Okay.
as I understand it. And they did have some revisions a couple of years ago, and I think they're doing it again. And like they're allowing mashups. They're allowing fair use for education, which is very different for Canada. We spend years and years and years carefully copying down exactly which YouTube videos we're showing in case there's any copyright issues.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I have to write down that I showed this YouTube video and here's the URL, and it's kind of a pain.
Wow.
So they're changing that. They're introducing this fair use for education, but they are keeping in all of the stuff that says you're not allowed to break any of the digital rights management, which means you have no way to actually use the fair use clauses without actually buying the DVD. So you have to, essentially you have to pay the license to be able to use the fair use, that you can use it for free. So it's kind of weird there. And you can't actually create the mashups because you're not allowed to copy the media into a form that you then could mash up. So it's kind of a weird law. They've got this sort of like, they're trying to make it look good, but really this introduction of the digital rights management really makes the law kind of useless for its purpose.
If you go into the YouTube terms of use, though, aren't you allowed to, if you're following that, you'd be all right?
Yes, but the terms of use is always overrided by the copyright law of the country that you're in, right?
And that's the hard thing about having this conversation with you guys, is because we're all in different countries. So what's true in one country isn't necessarily true in another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. I thought of it, the website itself gave you guidelines on what you can and can't do with the material. That was definitive.
No, I think it's more about what country you access it from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Difficult.
so it's kind of weird that you can have material which is completely legal everywhere in the world. Of course, Rob and I are totally familiar with this, considering the number of times that it was blocked. YouTube was blocked in Thailand because somebody put up something unflattering about the king.
Right.
Wow.
Which made the entire website illegal, because there'd be one video up that said the king was a jerk.
Really? So they took the whole thing offline?
They took the whole thing offline. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess there's no easy answers then. I'll just keep...
So what was your actual
along.
question, Susie?
Oh, well, I'm just saying there's no answers because we're all in different countries and have different rules. But
well, in Australia, the thing is, and this is where it gets really confusing. In Australia, there are different laws for print than there are for digital. If it's a book, for example, you're allowed to copy 10% or one chapter, whichever is the greater, to use with students. But you're not allowed to do the same thing for a colleague. So, for example, if I read a really interesting article in a book and I wanted to share it with my teacher colleagues, I couldn't go and photocopy the thing from the book and just go and leave copies on their desks. But I could copy the whole chapter and give it to my students because they fall under a different arm of the copyright law.
where in New Zealand you can only do 10% if you've signed up to one of the copyright agreements, the collective agreements, but otherwise it's 3%. And typography being considered websites as well, that you can copy. But then there's a section on electronic stuff as well, which is separate. So it gets very muddled. I don't actually think it's very clear. I've been reading the law in the last day for this module, and I still don't understand it at the end of it. It's quite funny.
Yeah. I have a question. Sorry, I was just going to say, how does Creative
go ahead, Dave.
Commons
Sorry, David, off you go. We've got a little bit of lag, which makes it interesting sometimes.
Okay. I was wondering how Creative Commons interacts with that. Like, if somebody's saying, some law says you're not allowed to copy it, and then somebody's put a license on it, which is, quasi-legal at this stage, given the lack of challenges. How do you guys think that interacts? Like, if it's something's Creative Commons, can you just take all of it?
Well, that's what I thought. When you said that it depends on where you're accessing it from, not what it says on the actual website. That's where I got confused.
Well, Creative Commons, as I understand, is pretty much global. So
that's what I thought.
So depending on which license you'd be using under Creative Commons, whether it was commercial, non-commercial, allowing share alike or not, that type of thing, that should be a global license.
That's what I thought. That's what I'm telling people.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it that the person who created that content, they're the person that puts the license on, so ultimately they're giving the permission for you to use it?
Correct. And look, none of this would be an issue if copyright... that's actually the whole point of Creative Commons, as I understand it, is, if I create something and then put it out there and you want to use it, all you need to do is ask me. And if I say yes, then you can use it. So copyright doesn't prevent you from using stuff. It prevents you from using stuff without asking permission.
Mm.
And all the Creative Commons does is essentially give you that permission in advance.
Yeah.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Because I've been getting kids to do the good old advanced Google image search using the reuse option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Susie, Sorry, Susie, do you ever use Pics for Kids on Flickr or the Creative Commons? I find most images I need, I find there.
I tend to go to Flickr using CompFight or CC Flickr Search. I use the Creative Commons search engines for Flickr.
Yeah. Flickr CC is a great one.
Yeah. But because a lot of schools have hooked into this Google image thing, and sometimes they've got Flickr blocked, I've been making sure that they know about the advanced search options, because at least then they're vaguely trying to fall within the law.
One of the really cool things, I don't know if you guys are Moodle users or not, but one of the really super neat things about Moodle 2.0, which will be released soon, is it has a repository-based approach. So, in other words, when you're looking for an image to include in something on a Moodle page, rather than have to go to the web, find it, bring it down, copy it to your desktop, import it in, then under 2.0, what you do is you simply hit the little Flickr button, and you can go through and browse Flickr directly through Moodle. But there's also a filter in there where you can say, only show me images that match a share-alike non-commercial license, for example, and it'll filter it on the fly, and then you embed the image directly from Flickr or copy it down directly within Moodle. It's super cool.
That's sweet.
I was interested to hear about some other software recently where you can do a reverse search, so you can get the image and find out where it came from. So if you tell your kids that, and
oh, really?
I haven't got the website at my fingertips, but if the kids know that you can source their photos, then they're less likely to blatantly ignore.
How do you guys explain this stuff to kids?
How that works.
When you're dealing, especially with the younger kids, how do you explain that? Have you got any good ways of trying to have this conversation with students?
When I was doing the Google image search stuff with the kids, I spent some, just the same thing, saying that if someone puts some work up there and you take it without asking, and normally I actually use the pencil in the pencil case. I said, if you go and get someone else's pencil without, just take it. It's when it belongs to them and don't ask. That's stealing, just like if you go to an image and take it without asking, that's stealing. But then they said, but it stays there, so you're not taking it, you're just taking a copy.
That's exactly what my Year 3 said to me.
So then we had the discussion. I said, yes, but that's still there. That still belongs to them, and you've taken a copy without asking. So it's the same kind of idea. And so that sort of helped them. Then they became all zealous about not stealing. They didn't want to steal. But I don't know how it works, Rob. Were you asking how the reverse search would work? Because that is an interesting question. I wonder how that would work. How do they find an image based on...
especially because, what do you say, Dave? Go for it.
The image file itself is basically strings of ones and zeros, right?
Yep.
So all they're doing is looking to see where that string of ones and zeros exists elsewhere on the internet.
Oh,
and images
really?
Are unique enough that, you know what I mean? That it's
Wow.
not going to be that
quiet, David.
The images are unique enough that it's not going to be hard to find the ones and zeros for each image, right? Every image is going to have a different string of ones and zeros. And probably they don't even need to look for all of them. They can just even take, the first 1,000 ones and zeros and see, where does this appear?
Wow.
Interesting. Sorry, that was an interesting question.
The amount of computing power to do that just boggles my mind sometimes.
Yeah, crazy. It is kind of crazy.
It brings to mind the concern of how much power all our computing devices are using all the time, and there's no way kids can understand that. It's easy to click a button, but to put that into terms of how much energy they're using, like the equivalent having a light globe on or whatever, is very it's an abstract concept for them.
Oh, I can remember when I got to the stage where, I'd go to install a piece of software and I was like, that's a whole megabyte. Dude, that's crazy, a megabyte file.
Yeah, well, I'm having an issue with my internet provider that they say that we're using 50 gig a month. We're not using 50 gig a month. But when someone pointed out to me that's 2 full feature-length films a day, I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
That's a lot of data.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of data that is traveling around all the time. Yeah.
I just downloaded an app today for the iPad, the Elements. You know that one, the visual
such good things
exploration
about
of it. It's 1.73 gigabytes.
Wow.
Just one little app. And, another one, the Wikipanion for iPad is 3.7. Wolfram Alpha is 4 megs.
Wow.
Sorry, 3.7 megs, and Wolfram Alpha is 4 megs.
Wow.
So this Elements, it's pretty intense.
Yeah. Well, isn't it funny the way we just have gotten used to files? I downloaded the iPhone development kit the other day, and I think it was like 6 gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I downloaded 3 something, yeah.
Yeah, and even the CS5. I got the Adobe CS5 Master Collection the other day. That was like 6.5 gig.
You paid. Of course, you paid for it, but that's a bit of an outlay.
Well, I'm one of those Adobe education leader people, so I actually that was part of the deal.
Right.
So that was kind of sweet. But,
That's pretty nice.
yeah.
I have a trick for teaching kids why they have to be careful about copyright, by the way, going back a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go.
Take some project that one of your grades did that's really, really super cool.
Yep.
Give it to another grade, have them figure out how it works, and then present it as if it's their own material at an assembly. Right? And see how the kids whose work is being presented as somebody else's work feel.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's clever.
Psychological experiments.
And how much does it cost for the therapy afterwards for those kids? Like, is that part of the counseling or what?
Well, I think they would really remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they would really go,
Absolutely.
wait, that's my work.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
The way I would normally have done it, I had this conversation with Year 3 not so long ago, where we were talking about copyright, and I went in with a photograph, and I just put the photograph on the table and said, if I walked out of the room now and forgot about that, and one of you picked it up, would that be the right thing to do? And they went, oh no, that's stealing. I went, okay. What if I pinned the photo to the wall so that everyone could see it, and then I went out of the room, and someone took it off the wall, and they went, oh no, that's stealing. Okay, what if, and you keep following that line of reasoning until eventually you go, okay, what if I take that photo and scan it and put it on the internet for people to see? And then someone takes it. Oh, no, that's okay. Why is that okay? Oh, because they're not actually taking it. But yes, they did take it, but they left it behind as well, which I think, someone mentioned before, this idea that, you take it, but it's still there. And I think that's the hardest part for kids to get their head around.
Because they think that it's not hurting anyone because there's still an original copy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an issue with that. My grandmother was a photographer back in the 20s and has these beautiful black and white photos of sailing ships. And my brother didn't want me to put them up online at all because they could be copied. And I said, oh, well, they're beautiful photos. We should share them. And he said, oh, well, what if somebody makes some money out of them? And he was concerned that, it could, I don't know. I really don't know what his concerns were, but I was happy to share them, and he felt that was the wrong thing to do.
Well, isn't there that there's a case of was it Virgin Blue or one of the airlines did a series of advertising posters with regular people on the posters was part of the advertising campaign, and they were just going onto Flickr and finding photos that were licensed under CC, non-commercial, for commercial use, and just taking the photos and using them as their advertising campaign. And someone spotted themselves in an advertising poster and went, "Hey, I didn't give permission for that." And well, actually, you did actually.
Yeah.
We had the same thing in New Zealand, that a baby kept appearing on baby food jars that had been sourced in a similar fashion without the parents knowing.
Yeah. And that's the thing about CC, and I don't know whether everyone realises that, is that, once you license something under CC, you can't take it back. And even if you put it out under a very open license, like, commercial use, share alike, do whatever you want with it, and then later on you realise, oh, that was a bad idea, I'm going to go and change that. If anyone has accessed it under the like the pre-existing license, then you can't revoke that. So you can only change
Really?
it for future use, but you can't retrospectively change it.
Not if they've taken it while it was sitting in that under that license.
Yeah, if they take it under the more open license, then you can't tighten the license afterwards. They get it under the original conditions.
But the baby food company ended up paying this mother money because it hit the media.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, right.
yeah, you got to protect your public image as well.
Oh, sorry, that was just a topic I was interested in at the moment, but thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No, the copyright one's a really interesting one because it's so. I mean, I said this to one of a librarian I knew once. Surely this should be straightforward, and she went, "It is straightforward. The rules are very clear." Well, actually, no, they're not.
No. I think particularly because a lot of them haven't been updated properly for the digital age.
This was a librarian who was very digital and very, very digital. In fact, you'd all know her name if I said it. But yeah, she was of the opinion that this is a very black and white thing. That the rules are very clear, and I've never found them that way.
No. No.
Well, not even just the rules are clear, but do the rules make sense? I mean, we think about it. The purpose of copyright, in the end of the day, is to encourage people to come up with new ideas.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that's the underlying purpose of copyright, in my opinion, anyway.
Yep.
And I'm not convinced that the copyright is doing that, because we're working in these really tangled collaborative groups now, like we never used to, with people from all over the place, from different countries, etc. And I don't think copyright is actually. I think it's becoming a hindrance to that creation of new ideas.
The irony of it is, David, that, you look at Disney, for example, who, when Disney launched, they launched most of what they did because they were stealing other people's ideas and using them in, new creative ways.
Yeah.
And yet Disney is now one of the most protective of copyright. Hey, Britt.
Yeah.
Tap a little quieter.
Oh, sorry. Beg your pardon. I just saw Anne's online if you'd like to invite her on. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah, I don't have her on my Skype list, I don't think.
No.
Oh, yes, I do. Here she is. Yeah, sure. You ask her, and if she says yes, let me know. I'll drag her in.
The other thing about copyright that I know this is going to sound really, really ignorant, but it's just no fun. Like when I did a workshop last week for teachers, and these are people some teachers who had really never really used iMovie before, and they wanted to just get used to it, and they were playing around with iMovie, and they wanted to make a story kind of about their lives. And one guy had this brilliant. He loved the Star Wars feature, like the text, like that one text option where you can just drag the titles in and they kind of scroll up like Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So he said, "Oh, I need the Star Wars music." So I showed him a website called YouTube to MP3. Where you can just take any YouTube video and just take the audio out of it as an MP3. Okay. And then
that's handy.
Oh, it's awesome. Just if you just Google YouTube to MP3, I think I'm not sure what the website is. I'll find it and I'll post it for you later.
No worries.
But
last week.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you can just take any YouTube soundtrack, any audio from any YouTube video and just turn it into an MP3. So he found the Star Trek theme and he grabbed it and threw it into his movie, and it was part of this whole thing, and he was really excited about it, and and taking pictures off the internet, and he was literally running out of the classroom with his MacBook, showing other teachers what he had made, and he was super excited. And then, you kind of have to say afterwards, it's like, okay, now the fun's over. You can't post that on YouTube, and you can't do this, and what you did was this, and try to talk about rules, and so all that stuff when you. It's sort of when you think, okay, well, we have to start from the idea of what's Creative Commons first. Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well, instead of being able to take from this huge, massive, international, universal pool of information, we're taking from a small amount. So I totally get it, and I understand, but it's not a lot of fun.
It is crazy though, because at some point, well, and under the law, one of the conditions is, are you prejudicing the copyright owner in some way? Are you restricting their ability to make income from their creation?
Right.
And clearly the person who uses a Star Wars theme to, make a home movie is not. But,
Well, technically, of course, you could say that you could go onto those websites where you can purchase things like the Star Wars. Yeah. But it's like...
are you purchasing it for reuse, though? Or are you purchasing it for your own use? Because that still doesn't solve the problem, does it?
Yeah.
Right.
And because if it goes viral on YouTube...
Good for advertising.
Sorry, Linda.
People want.
Because, if it was one of those lucky ones and it went viral on YouTube and you became an overnight success, well, then you might be in big trouble.
When I moved into a new house, I made a little video just to share with some friends who were overseas so they could see the new house. So I just took a bunch of photos, put it in a little slideshow, and used, that Madness song, Our House, in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
I just used that as a soundtrack. I knew I shouldn't have, but bugger it, did it anyway. And posted it to YouTube. Now, if you go and find that video now, you can still watch the images, but but
no sound.
There's a notice on it that says this music track has been removed by Sony or EMI, whoever it was that owns it, and they've asked for it to be requested. And in fact, there must be some, with I don't know how many thousands of videos per second going up to YouTube these days, but there must be some sort of automated process to actually scan those and screen them for copyright content, because they just couldn't do it manually, obviously.
Because there's been a couple of classes I work with have had the same thing. They've put something up and instantly had, almost within a day, had a message back saying that you have copyrighted material that, so we can't use, we take the soundtrack off.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
No, there's a guy in from where I'm from Hamilton. I think he was calling himself the Longer, and he wanted to do this thing where he danced every day for 365 days from one birthday to the next, and he did a different dance in a different place in Hamilton. Sometimes he was traveling, so he would do his dance there, and he would just take a song, like just any song that he liked at the time, and he would do this really common. It's kind of like Where the Hell Is Matt, but a sort of like a Hamilton version. And he did this for a year, and when it was all done, like I'm not joking, like it was finished, and he had done this masterpiece. It went on Boing Boing, and I guess Boing Boing got a hold of it, and so YouTube pulled all the videos. Wow. They just said that's it, and that was it. So his whole 1 year project, 365 videos, just totally gone.
Wow! And on the flip side of that,
I'm not sure what happened actually.
The flip side of that is I've had other videos that have copyrighted soundtracks on them, and I've put them on YouTube. It makes it sound like I do this all the time. I actually don't. But I've had other ones that I've done that with, and they haven't taken the soundtrack, but instead I've had a little notice and an email arrive to say, we've noticed that you have copyright content. We're allowing it to continue, but we're going to run extra ads on your YouTube page.
To make up the money.
You go to the creators.
I had my cousin who did a cover of somebody's work, and his audio got stripped because he was doing a cover.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it must be like a computer bot that goes through and looks for the musical patterns, or I don't know how that would work.
It must be. It's really weird. Or he got spotted by the band, one or the other.
Yeah, that's more likely.
Somebody's song, and that got stripped. Which to me, I mean, a lot of people do covers. Have they been paying the bands?
Yeah.
I don't think so. That's my guess. I really doubt those impersonators of Elvis are paying the Elvis estate.
Yeah, my daughter's a singer. She's got a few videos on YouTube of herself singing, and obviously she's singing other people's songs. And they're all still intact. They haven't pulled those down. So I'm guessing that thing you mentioned before about how do you reverse look up a photograph, they probably do a similar kind of thing. They're looking for bit patterns on the audio track. And when they spot them, and I'm presuming that if you're doing a cover version, then it's a different series of bit patterns.
But it's like my sister's a comedian, and she takes songs and changes the words in her act. To be fun.
That's okay. Parody's okay. Parody doesn't count.
Well, actually, no. She almost got done for a huge license fee.
Really?
Because people spotted it on a flyer. That she she had to pay one of the collective licensing things again, quite a bit of money.
What country?
Wow.
What country?
It's New Zealand. So I'm just saying
it's legal in Canada.
Because that's how Weird Al Yankovic gets away with most of the stuff that he does. Because
absolutely
parody is okay under the copyright law.
I can't. Well, she ended up doing. They came to some arrangement because she'd already done. That was already out there, but she was a bit taken aback because that's half her act gone.
Wow.
But there's a school here that's, I won't say which one because it's online, but that's downloading all the YouTube videos and putting them in their Moodle site so that to reduce their bandwidth usage, and has huge numbers of YouTube videos.
Yeah. Had this discussion with someone last week. It's interesting.
Yes, and I said, "Oh, aren't you breaking copyright?" And he sort of went, "We're not talking about that," because he said as long as it's behind the wall, he feels all right that no one's going to find them. And I suppose there's something to that argument.
Because he could also say he's trying to keep them safe from, stumbling upon other, material that's not appropriate for them either.
I think there's a whole lot of reasons why it's a good
still
thing
illegal,
to do.
but
Except if you look at their terms of use, it says you may not download it all in any form.
Yeah. YouTube is happy with that.
Yeah, but I mean, no one can find them.
Yeah, pretty hard to do a mashup if you can't download the video.
Yeah.
So we've all
relevant.
done it, but yes.
That was the
Last
flaw
week.
with the Canadian copyright law.
The thing is, you do, don't you? Things get too hard, so sometimes you fudge it. It's like with Google Images. If I really can't find something on Flickr, I might borrow something from Google Images.
Yeah. Larry Lessig, who's the guy who was behind Creative Commons, Stanford law professor who put the whole thing into place, tells a wonderful story. I don't know if you've heard it about the aeroplanes flying over. Have you heard that story?
No.
No.
And he likens the copyright law to, he said, back in the early days of, when people were given land grants, that they were told they own this piece of land, and the way the contracts for the land were drawn up was that you own the land all the way to the centre of the earth and all the way above to the heavens. This nice idea that you didn't just own what was on the surface, you owned everything below it and everything above it. But that was before aeroplanes were invented, and when the aeroplane was invented, then they started flying over, and a few landowners started to think, oh, we could actually make a claim on that because they're trespassing. So they were making trespass claims on aircraft flying, 40,000 feet over their land or whatever. That's when eventually they said, well, this is stupid, and they changed the law. And he likens it to this idea of copyright now. We're looking at all these scenarios that kind of made sense in a print world but don't make any sense at all in a digital world.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what
And
I
so
was-
where we're at the moment, I think, is we're just sitting there waiting for them to change the law to realise that the aeroplanes aren't trespassing.
We had a bit of that with the Māori in New Zealand having rights to the air, to the seas. So they were talking about radio waves and TV stuff. Whether there needed to be some reimbursement for the use of the airwaves.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah. So it's just not just with airplanes.
Look, I'm just glad that people like Tim Berners-Lee, when he invented the web, was magnanimous enough to say, you know what, I don't want to own the copyright on the concept of a link. I don't want to own the copyright to the concept of the web. I want it to be open so that everybody can use it, because that's when it'll have social good. And thank God for people like Berners-Lee who actually, aren't out to just make a buck from every single thing. Can you imagine if Microsoft invented the web?
Well, I don't think we'd be sitting here now talking.
We wouldn't. It wouldn't have taken off because, it would have gotten to a certain critical mass and then failed because I don't know, I assume.
I totally agree. And it would have crashed 3 times a day.
Sure. The blue internet of death.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just wonderful that you look at so many fabulous things that happened in the world and you realise they only happened and they're only fabulous because they were done with a spirit of generosity and of giving and of wanting to share and not wanting to hoard it and sort of make a buck off every single transaction.
Yeah.
That's why Creative Commons is so great too.
Yeah.
That people have the ability to say, take what I've done, I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. I always love the any kind of Web 2.0 applications that have reuse features. Like I'm big on Prezi, but I love that kind of stuff where you can take something like somebody's created a comic and in Bitstrips or GoAnimate or Prezi or something, and they just said, yeah, take it. I'll post it on in the gallery, and you can reuse it too.
Yeah.
So then somebody it's nice. People can just take it and just edit it a little bit, and yeah, that's nice.
There's a nice little plug-in for WordPress that I've got running on my blog, which at the bottom of every post it puts a little licensing statement. So this is licensed under Creative Commons license. You may use it non-commercially. Blah blah blah. But it tags everything with it. And I think we need to get to that stage where everything that gets produced gets labelled somehow with what the conditions of reuse are. So we're not sitting in this big grey area where nobody knows what you can and can't do.
Exactly.
We had a
Well, and I
long
think that.
discussion
Go
at
ahead.
this Sorry, Slide to Learn conference in Shepparton.
We'll do ladies first. Britt, off you go.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. We had a long discussion at the Slide to Learn conference in Shepparton on last week about the use of apps on mobile iPads and iPods and how teachers and schools were purchasing the app but then distributing to all a class set of iPods or their students' iPods, and actually Apple weren't very forthcoming with their actual policy on that. And then eventually he came around to explaining that, well, it's not really Apple that owns the applications, and you're actually doing the wrong thing by the people who produce these applications.
Even the free ones?
I don't know if they were talking about the free ones so much, but the ones that were $1 or, something.
Can you get group licenses for iPod apps?
Well, no.
I thought that
there isn't educational use either. So that was what the push was at the conference, so that that Apple or the people making the apps would come up with some kind of educational use group license for these applications, so that they could be freely available to school, well, not freely available, but at a cost, and that the makers would have some, benefit from that. It was a very interesting discussion.
Yeah. Rob, did you
I thought that there was something about that. Well, just a little bit, just because I was asking about that a lot. We were talking about, I was talking with Colin Gallagher, Colin Galley on Twitter, and we were talking about iPods in the classroom, and he's started at the school he's at in Hong Kong. He started a small trial project with about 10 iPod touches in the classroom in the kindergarten class. And I thought that there was, and I'll have to look into this because I really don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say, but I thought that there was, that if you say you buy like one of those little iPod carts or whatever they are, if you download the app and you paid for the app, then there's a certain amount of installs that you can install it on. I didn't think that it was limited just to the one machine that
No,
that
I
you
didn't
download.
either. My understanding was that if you had a class computer, that it would actually distribute the app up to, was it 30 machines or 40 machines or
Something like
some
that,
really high
yeah.
number.
I think it's a common misconception, and it was for personal use. It can be distributed to as many personal computers as you have, but because they're not for personal use, other people are using them. That was where
there was
the
5.
issue was.
5 authorized computers.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Interesting.
That's something. I think that's
The fact
something
we don't all know shows
No.
us.
That's hang on. You're working backwards though. It's 5 authorized computers, but there's the computer to iPod ratio, but then there's the iPod to computer ratio. So you
Right.
can have
Yeah.
as many iPods as you want on a single computer. You can only have 5 computers.
But would that be what I can see what they're saying, that that's probably not what the original people who created the app would necessarily imagine is going to happen, and that they're going to be, everything else has group licenses in the world.
Sure, I'd agree with that. But whether you're actually breaking the law as it stands, or whether they have the law, maybe the law hasn't caught up with that either.
Yeah, there's a nice
Right.
loophole for the time being.
Just to madly distribute now.
Susie's just put a link in the back channel there to Jenny Ashby's iPod Touch project. That's worth a look.
I was just wondering if anyone else had some iPod resources, because I'm actually gathering some at the moment for something else I'm doing.
Yes, Susie, I attended Jenny. I shared a room with Jenny actually in Shepparton, and the Slide to Learn Ning is the place for links to all the resources. There's also
Can you put a
iPod.
link up for me? Are you in the chat? Can you put?
I've got
By the way,
someone-
Linda and Rob, I couldn't add you obviously because I don't have you as one of my people on Skype. It says that your privacy settings won't let me talk to you.
That's okay.
Oh,
If you guys just throw
Sorry.
me the links later, I'll put them up on the show notes.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
and
Jenny's
Susie,
a lovely
sorry.
lady. I was lucky to have dinner with Jenny when I was in Melbourne recently, and we had lovely
Oh,
chats
she's
about
good fun.
iPod stuff. Yeah.
She's a dynamo. She's really fabulous. And Louise Duncan was terrific. Jonathan Nowditch spoke about Bloom's taxonomy in digital use. And, it was overall fantastic. Well, it's why I'm here talking to you. It sort of exploded my personal network, I think.
Cool.
Slide to Learn's a great name for the conference, isn't it? I like that.
Yeah, I was desperate to go, but I just couldn't get my act together for it this holidays.
Yeah, same.
Too much on my plate.
Well, it was so successful. I'm sure they're going to have other events in the future. and jump on the Ning. There's about 200 people there at the moment,
Yeah,
and
the Ning's
some
fantastic.
really good discussion.
Did you see the? There was an article in today's, I think it was the Guardian in the UK, where there was a leak about the next iPod Touch. Apparently, there's a pretty strong case to say that the next iPod Touch will be coming out in September, and it'll have a camera and the what are they called, gyroscopes from the new iPhone 4.
Yeah, I think it's got the antenna built around the outside of it, so it's got better reception, and it's got a forward and a backward-facing camera. One's 5 megapixels.
This is the iPod Touch you're talking about, the new iPod Touch.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking
Touch
about
your
the iPhone 4. Yeah, I was talking about the phone. So
Yeah. Well, the
got
antenna on the
excited,
outside,
though.
apparently, if you hold it a certain way, it works okay.
Did anybody see the ad for the iPhone 5? Did anybody see that?
No?
No.
It's from that fake Twitter account, that CEO Steve Jobs.
Oh, yes.
And it was like
That's
breaking
funny.
news. Here's a shot of our iPhone 5, and it's basically just an iPhone 4 with an old like CB or walkie-talkie antenna screwed into the top of it.
I like that there was an Android thing released the other day, and their advertising phrase was, "You can hold it any way you like."
Any way you want. I loved that. Yeah, it was great.
That's been a huge problem for Apple. I find it
that's
stunning
for sure.
that got through quality control. But then I suppose they were so secretive that they never took the iPhone 4 out in public to test it unless it was wrapped in some kind of a sheepskin, so that no one recognised it.
Yeah.
Unless people left it. There was the one that was
And they left it in the car.
Left it on a bar stool somewhere.
That was
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
That was marketing.
The whole bar stool incident?
Yeah, I don't think that was an accident.
Really? Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Because we're such geeks, we all know what that's talking about. We're such geeks.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
You know, I was a bit surprised, actually. I had a conversation with somebody about this recently. This is kind of changing gears a bit about Apple. And, I'm an Apple Distinguished Educator, so whatever I say, I have to be a bit careful about this. But, I love Mac products. I'm originally a PC guy, but I'm pretty about Apple now, and I'm teaching in an Apple school. So there's my disclaimer before I say anything else. But was anybody else a bit surprised by how, I kind of feel like Apple and TED are kind of the same thing. Like TED has just taken off. It's just, there's TEDx events everywhere all over the world, 600 or something like that.
Yeah.
There's TV shows now. It's all over the world. It's just massive. It's got too big almost. And I'm wondering if Apple has got to the same point this year where, I would have been happy if the iPad had come out this year and that was enough. But they've got iPad, they've got version 4, the OS 4 is out now. The new iPhone 4 is coming out in September, apparently. They're going to have the new software for the iPad, so it's going to have multitasking. And then I'm sure next year there's going to be a new iPad with cameras and all that other stuff too. Are they going too fast? Like, is it too much, or is this just sort of the way things are going?
Personally, I think it's just the way things are going. I don't
They can make money, I guess they will.
Yeah, I don't think they have a choice, to be honest. I think the threat from Android is just too huge at the moment. If Apple don't keep moving, they're just going to get left behind. And in many ways, iPhone 4 was catch-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that drive to sort of to compete is maybe sort of hindered their quality control in some way?
Look, there was a really interesting discussion. I don't know if you guys listened to This Week in Google. It's one of Leo Laporte's podcasts. There was a really interesting discussion they were having there this week about this idea of open versus closed and the openness of the Android App Store and the lack of quality that you're getting now by having an uncontrolled App Store where anyone can put anything in there. And there's a lot of crap in there versus the Apple approach where you control everything and possibly too tightly. And now people are complaining. Developers are saying, we don't know whether our apps are going to get approved and all that sort of stuff. And there was a really interesting point made about, well, we got the same problem with books. Anyone can publish any sort of a book, and there's a lot of crappy books out there too. But that's where libraries come in curating them into a collection of worthwhile stuff.
Right.
So what I think the solution needs to be for this open versus restricted debate is, you find the balance between an open marketplace where people can pretty much do anything you want, but then you have some sort of curation to try and filter the good stuff from the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the best?
Sorry, go on,
Sorry.
Susie.
I was just going to ask where the best review site, because I've been playing through, looking for the best apps for education, blah. Has anyone found the best rundown they think of ones that are the best? Speaking
For me, it
of
would just be Twitter.
So many lists.
Yeah, but then you've got to collate it.
Well, there's one good list I found people can add to in a Google form, and it puts them all in subject areas and suitable for which age group.
I think I made a copy of that to my Google account, which of course then stopped it being live. So and then I didn't know where I got it for how I could get it back again. So if it's
one of the things that I think, because I started that too, whenever they mentioned a good app, I'd be copying it down, but there's so many more coming on the market all the time that any list you make is going to be outdated. I think what you have to do is think about what the learning outcomes you want are going to be, and then find the app for that. Don't start making lists of apps because it'll be outdated next week. There'll be some good ones that'll stick around, but I think you really have to think carefully about what you want the students to achieve from using it, and a lot of them are still just drill and kill stuff that is really basic, and it'll keep them quiet in the corner for a couple of minutes.
I've downloaded a few of them.
And
just a look.
Yeah, they're not going to revolutionise education. I don't think they're just another tool we can use that will engage students. And I'm sick of that word, engage them. They really need to learn something as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think. As I said in a blog post recently, there's got to be more than just edutainment.
That's why, because I've downloaded a few and I'm not that amazed by them. So I guess that's why I'm trying to find a list of someone that's done really good quality control on an apps set of lists. But
and I think that's part of the problem with the iPod Touch is, I've been a critic of this for a long time now, is that because they don't have a GPS, they don't have a camera, they don't have a lot of that stuff, then they're wonderful for consuming other people's content, but they're not so good at making your own. And once they get some stuff in there to actually create content, so you can go out and you can take a bunch of photos and you can use Real Director or something to put them into a movie and then publish it directly from the device. And once I don't think we're going to see a GPS because it won't be assisted, so I'm not sure how well that's going to work. But I'd just love to see a device with a GPS in it. There's so much stuff that opens up once you can make the phone aware of where it is.
Yeah. One of the good sessions was on digital storytelling with the iPod Touch and putting together images with music and sonic pics, and Real Director was one of the main tools. But getting kids to create on them, I think another tool for creation was creating for guided reading, which I thought was fabulous. And with the internet search, you could get the images from a Creative Commons source, of course.
Yep.
And
of course.
And use just the front cover for a guided reading, and perhaps get the kids to draw their own images. And there's tools on the like Etch-a-Sketch or other tools that you can draw your own images and do screen captures with the iPod and put them into a story, and then add your voice reading the story. And that just, I think that sounds so much potential there for really creative stuff in your hand anywhere. Outside.
Yeah, I think that's where it needs to move, is to be creative rather than just finding new ways to play repetition rote learning games. Yeah.
So I've got one called Story Kit, and then there's Comic Life Lite, which are both quite good little ones for creation. But I was looking for more of that kind of stuff, I guess. And I can't. It's so hard to find it. It's so hard to troll through all the dross.
Susie, would you like to put your email in the chat window? I don't know, and then I can send you some of the good stuff I found, or links to.
Oh, brilliant!
Awesome.
With
maybe we could all. Because I've got a couple of schools I'm working with that are thinking of bringing them in, and so I said to them I'd send them some stuff on the possible value on some good resources. So that is very helpful. Thank you.
It's pretty attractive.
Right.
We've got little net pads that we use with our kindergarten and year one kids. And just getting kindergarten and pre-kindergarten kids to log on is such a nightmare. The thought of just handing them a device and saying, here you go, there's no log on, just press it with your finger and the game will open or whatever, is a really attractive thing, I've got to say.
Yeah, and we were talking about the time it takes to load up software, compared to a computer which takes a while to load something up, whereas this, it just pretty much opens.
Yeah, exactly right. Makes a big
And
difference.
the kids can take control of it themselves too. They can just go and pick it up. I've got 5 in my class, and even just one for each table for listening to a story at the end of, an activity. So I'm freed up for guided reading, because that's pretty much what you're talking about. It's entertainment for a bit. But they can go and do that themselves. My little ones, for them to go and log onto the computer is just, I just want to take them.
Yeah, it's... I made the comment to someone recently that, it was like all these little edutainment type games and stuff to just keep the kids busy, unless they fit actually into your teaching philosophy.
That's right.
To me, it's like saying, I want to be a healthy eater, but it's okay to have KFC 3 times a week. It's like it either fits into the way you view the world or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then why are we wasting time on it?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, some
I'm
things
very
like...
fussy about the apps I put on mine. I have all the lovely Dr. Seuss books, and generally they're the more expensive things. But you're right, the kids are just consuming; they're not creating.
Yeah.
On the app, they can go away and do an innovation on it, but then we have to do it on something else, and then put it into a form where then we can put it onto the iTouch for somebody else to look at.
Yeah, I had a iPod Touch for a long time, and when I eventually got the phone, it was like, wow, the difference that having the speakers built in so that you don't have to have the headphones in, and you can talk directly into it. There's a microphone, and there's a camera, and there's a GPS, and that just... It
makes you use it so much.
Yeah, totally. And to me, what you need is in education is an iPhone without the phone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got an iPod Touch, and then a month later we got told we were getting an iPhone for work. I'm like, wouldn't have bought the Touch, but it's sitting in a mouldering in a cupboard now. Because I've got this...
my son's birthday soon. I might buy it off you. We'll talk.
Yeah.
I got them to engrave my email address on the back.
Well, wouldn't it be, Chris?
The price
it be...
just came down, Susie.
Wouldn't an iPhone?
Did I tell you we've got number 2 due on the 22nd of November?
No, you didn't tell me that.
So
Congratulations.
I have my phone back. So the Touch will come.
Fair enough. Sorry, Rob. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, wouldn't an iPhone without the phone be an iPod? Or sorry, an iPad with a camera, like an iPad with 3G?
Oh yeah, now you're confusing me. I don't know. They call it an iPad. Someone called an iPod Touch the other day an iPad Nano.
Oh man, yeah.
Gets confusing.
It always gets a big laugh when I turn on Skype and I'm talking to somebody and I hold the iPad to my ear like a big phone. It always gets big laughs.
That's funny.
So you have people with iPads. Are you finding them valuable?
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah, it's really taken the place of my laptop. I mean, my old Toshiba laptop, that is. I for travel, when I travel now, I don't even bring a laptop. I usually just bring the iPad. If it's just a 3-day thing, it's just as long as there's a Wi-Fi connection, I can do all my emailing, Twitter. If I have to, communicate with some people on Facebook, I can type documents, and I can actually type pretty fast. And what I'm doing, especially now with this new job, I'm reading just tons and tons of documents. Dave, you posted a great article the other day about blocking, and this whole study. It was about 120 pages. So I just email those to myself, and then I just add them to iBooks. And then, if I'm on the MRT for half an hour, or if I'm, flying somewhere, you got 10 hours of battery life, and you can do some reading, you can type letters. It's actually really, I love it. Yeah, I really do.
And you can connect a wireless keyboard to it, can't you? If you really want to be able to type.
You can. But honestly, I think that if people are pretty quick typers to begin with, it won't hinder you that much to get it done. I mean, I've typed pages and pages of documents on it, and I really don't miss the keyboard on it. Actually, I really like the keyboard. I think that it's yeah, it would just make it more expensive if you had to get the external keyboard. And you can Bluetooth. I think you can Bluetooth a keyboard, any keyboard to it if you want. I think you can Bluetooth the Mac keyboard. Yeah. Yep. So I think it's fine, but I like the keyboard without. Actually, I really do.
So is it like is it like an iPod Touch keypad, or is it more like a kind of keyboard that breaks the screen in half or something in half? It's a keypad. Yeah. How does it? Yeah,
it's kind of separates the screen in half. Like the keyboard just kind of scrolls up. What would be nice at some point in the future is if you could adjust the size of the keyboard to just to fit yourself. Like some people would want it a little bit smaller, and some people would want it bigger. Some people would like it that if they could hold it with their thumbs and and type with their thumbs, like if they held it portrait style. But I love turning it
Come on, Rob. It's not how some people like it; it's how Steve likes it.
It's true. Yeah, that's right.
So it's like a full-size keyboard.
It's great. It is. It's pretty close. I'd say it's about 80%, 85%. It's about the size of a netbook keyboard.
Okay, cool.
It's very
Sorry,
typable.
I just haven't had a play on one yet.
Yeah, no, it's very typable.
Does it change size? Sorry, if you have it portrait, is it smaller than if you have it landscape with the keyboard?
Yeah, it's a lot smaller.
If you wanted it bigger, you could use the landscape version.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, and it switches like instantaneously. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting space to watch over the next little while to see what happens with those as far as education goes. And there's a lot of people scrambling around at the moment going, these seem like such a good idea for education. Let's see what we can do with them. But I don't know what the killer app will be that emerges in that space.
Well, that's an interesting discussion. I think I'm laughing now because there are a lot of people who really crapped on it before it even came out, saying it's not going to be good for education because it's not a content creator. Yep. It's purely Web 1.0. And it's the first day I got it, I grabbed that voice memo, and I've got it on my phone too. And you can just record a voice memo, and essentially we can do what we're doing right now. If we were all sitting around the room together, we could just leave it on the table, record a conversation. And then email it to like a Postgres account, and then you can auto post it to a WordPress blog. So you can blog with it. I mean, it's not the perfect application for blogging right now, for podcasting right now. But that's just a matter of time before GarageBand mobile comes out. iMovie is already out there for the iPhone 4, and when the next iPads come out and they've got 512 of RAM, then you'll probably be able to use a touch version of iMovie on it as well. So there's Pages, Numbers, there's Keynote, and they're all great. And really, I mean, yeah, they're a little bit more simple, but why do we need complicated? I'm just to do a nice presentation. If I really wanted to get complicated, I'd use Prezi, So I wouldn't use all these applications or things like PowerPoint and stuff to begin with. So I think it's great as a content creator. I really do. Yeah, it's great, and it's going to just get better and better.
Yep. No, I think, as I say, interesting space to keep your eye on. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've just reached probably about the hour mark. It's where does time go when you're having fun?
Absolutely. Those are the Creative Commons. Yeah.
And David has actually just dropped off. He just texted me to say he was going to have to go anyway. So I think we shall wrap it up. But just want to say thank you all for dropping in today on such absolute short notice. One tweet and here you all are.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. It's always a pleasure.
No worries. We should do stuff like this more often because I think we've talked about some really interesting things today and lots of food for thought. So just quickly go through the room and just want to tell us where we can find you on the web. Britt?
Yeah, I'm at Technoscience. I'll pop it in the window, and I think Twitter, Britt Gow, and my email's in the window there, so excellent. I'll look forward to being in touch.
Okay, and you are at Britt Gow, BrittGow on Twitter. And Susie, what about you?
I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be.
No, you're a Facebook girl.
I've turned into a Facebook girl, which I know is a walled garden, but it means I don't have to try and... Do you find when your network gets too big, you just don't... Suddenly it just becomes a bit meaningless after a bit?
I got rid of Facebook. I eventually just came to the conclusion that I just thought the direction they were taking the web was bad for the web, and
I remember you putting that up.
Unconscionable about it. I just had to quit. So anyway, I miss it, but I think
it's a closed kind of thing. But educationalsoftware.wikispaces.com is one of mine, and it's got all my links to all my other stuff. All my blog is sharetheaddiction.edublogs.org.
Excellent.
I'll put the links up.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susie. Linda, you are at Linda_Pilko, Pilko.
Yep, for Twitter.
Yep, excellent.
And I do have a blog that's a little bit neglected here and there, and I have just gone back to it in the last few days, so I
Yes, I know all about it. I know all about neglected blogs.
Yeah, I do too.
I did some uni lecturing, and I had to mark 67 blogs of service teacher blogs about the digital technologies that I taught them, and I just couldn't even look at mine after I read 67 blogs.
No,
Fair enough.
I'm not
fair
keeping
enough.
up with my reader, that's for sure.
All right, no worries. David, who has left us, but he is David Wees on Twitter, DavidWees on Twitter. So if you want to contact with David, that's where you find him. And finally, Rob in Thailand is Rob, who's actually not
That's
in
right.
Thailand. He's in Singapore, but you just
No,
confused me.
I'm in Singapore, and I chose the worst name for Twitter 2 years ago, but it's kind of how I've branded myself now. So I think I'll always just be Robin Thailand. But most people call me Robin. Which is pretty funny, so.
Robin Thailand. Yeah, that's what I thought originally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most
Fuck
people
my
think that.
stomach.
No worries. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for today. Really enjoyed the chat, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
Fantastic.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening here on the Virtual Staff Room. You can always get these episodes by going over to iTunes and getting them from the iTunes Music Store. Just find us in there, do a search, and hit the subscribe button, and they'll come hot and fresh to you every time we do a new one. Or alternatively, you can go over to www.virtualstaffroom.net. Thanks for listening. My name's Chris Betcher. See you next time.
I'm in a really quiet office too, and there's no the air conditioner's off, so it's just dead silent in here.
I, on the other hand, have the neighbour building a pergola out the backyard, the people working on a train line across the road, and a very sensitive microphone.